I'm recording to the cloud. Okay, so that mural program, like I said, there's a lot of flexibility with it. I expect to see this continue for the next few years, and to accelerate a bit, and we'll hear about a mural project tonight, I imagine. And so that's another resource. And like I said, those are separate funds that we put in front of city council and go, hey, we got $20,000, we want to do some murals, and they say yes. So once they do that, we're good to go. And that's kind of the position we're in with that right now. The Daisy Art Parade, we had such a good time with that last year. It was joyful, so much fun, and it was a celebration of each other. And with that spirit, we said, Brian Coonahan, can we just keep doing this? Let's figure out how to get some resources. Let's connect it to neighborhoods. So the Daisy Art Parade, we are encouraging neighborhood groups to organize, to participate in the parade. And we've got resources to help them participate in the parade. Some of those resources are coming through the Arts Connect Neighbors project, and some of you are involved in that catalog entry. And we have requests that are in now that will start. We're gonna, as soon as I get this grant done tonight by midnight, tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be on the phone talking to the people who've requested. We've been having conversations, and we are going to start those pretty quickly. I'll give an example. One is Lick Run Farm, Cam Terry, and he said, can we have the 5-minute portraits at the spring event? And we're like, yes. That farm is, he's organizing it as a community development corporation. And I said, Cam, what I would love is for you to talk to the leaders of the 2 neighborhoods nearby, Washington and Melrose Rugby. And so we're connecting with them. And this is going to be a little bit of kind of building as we go. So he already last year said, oh, if you're in the neighborhood, you come to even when he charged for an event, he'd say, you come for free. This year, the event's going to be free, and we're hoping that we can build some strong connections there and get even, fund some events that happen or activities that happen there, and connect them with neighbors. And who knows, maybe one day he'll have, a couple little neighborhood committees that are helping put on these events. Okay, so Arts Connect Neighbors, we have over $100,000 to pay for these events happening. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of work helping people understand what the opportunities are, and then getting artists out there doing them. And people in this call tonight are the ones who are making that happen. Because we know that. I should always have a catalog, but I don't. And we know that it's not, the catalog's not enough. We've got to put it in somebody's hand
or send a link as we did tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
In our meeting, we just sent the link, so.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, because it's all online and it works really well. Okay. So the Artist in Residence program we have, and we knew this year was going to be a little transitional. Last year we aligned it with Artist in Residence with the city. As we continue this program and continue paying Artists in Residence, we're going to really push them toward neighborhood Artist in Residence. So it really will be kind of geographically focused. And that, we've got Daisy Art Parade. Many of you have seen in the back of the catalog, we've got that look ahead to Daisy Art activations. And this is part of the city's plan that says, okay, we have some terrific neighborhoods where you can walk to food, to services, to gathering places, you can connect with people. Why aren't those in every neighborhood? Why doesn't every neighborhood have access to those? And we know that disposable income makes a difference. And so we've got 3 blue little areas. You barely see one of them, but Crystal Spring, Wasena, and Grandin Village, the blue areas on the map. And then we're saying, why can't we use government resources and invest in these nodes and other nodes to help create those? Because we know that there's not quite the disposable income around them. So Melrose Plaza, 11th Street, West End, Gainsborough, and 9th Street are the areas where we've got a study and council approved the study. And we've lined that up with the Daisy Art activations. So we've got $160,000 to pay for the Daisy Art Parade this year, the Daisy Art Parade next year, to pay for events to happen in between in each of these nodes. And we want, neighbors to help kind of plan the event, be part of it. It could be like, for example, we've got Melrose Plaza. You already
Opening.
Yeah, well, you already do events. If you've got Jazz in July, how do we bring in additional art focus that's kind of connected to the Daisy Art Parade where we help activate it and I think there's a lot of potential there. But the idea again is that we're gonna work with the neighborhoods to create some energy that's going to attract additional investment, additional public investment, additional private investment. And so there's a really good example that I think we're going to like right from the start kind of use to model the way. The Daisy Art Parade is happening on April 13th. Turns out they're closing of course, the bridge, the Main Street bridge, and they're going to do the bridge party the same day. And it's going to be at 3, they're going to start at 3 o'clock. So we said, okay, well, we actually want the Daisy Art Parade to activate neighborhoods too. So we'll just encourage people to go over after they've done the Daisy Art Parade to go on over to the bridge celebration. And so they're going to, at that bridge celebration, there's going to be kids and adults can paint the bridge with spray chalk and stuff. They're going to have things like that. They're going to have Soul Acoustics is going to be playing, and they're going to do things from the stage. And we're going to find ways, we're just starting to talk about this now, we're going to find ways to activate that with that Daisy Art spirit too. So we're going to practice a little bit with that on the 13th. So key to all this is neighborhood team building. And we've got resources that are connected to both the Arts Connect Neighbors effort and to the Daisy Art activations where we can pay for projects. So if a team gets together in a neighborhood, they've had some good success. We've been coaching them some. Coaching can happen from artists, from facilitators, from staff. We've got the neighborhood services staff. If they're doing well, we want to do a mural next. Well, guess what? We've got resources for that out of 3 different pots. We just have to, organize and be ready to do it, be ready to spend the money and to support the neighborhoods. And then finally, there are also neighborhood grants, so that if a neighborhood has a 501c3 nonprofit, they can apply to the city for neighborhood grant. All of these other resources we can use without them having a nonprofit there in the neighborhood. We can pay artists directly. We can cover the expenses. It'll be a lot of work, but I think that's going to be a valuable piece of that, I think. All right. How's that?
Good.
Okay. So let me invite you now to write down or jot down any questions you have or hold them in your head in your thoughtful spot. And we're going to go around. Well, actually, let me, just in case you don't have a pen, let me check in. Does anybody have any questions just on that big, broad overview or anything you want to touch on before we do introductions?
What time is the bridge celebration?
That'll be at 3 o'clock. So the Daisy Art Parade will kick off at noon
Okay.
or 11.
11? Is it at 11? I'm not sure.
Last year, I think it
Sounds very,
was 11.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember right.
I know you can get there as early as 8 o'clock to line up, so.
I did not either.
So Brian's gonna have the Elmwood Park until I think 3, 4, 5 o'clock. He's got it most of the day, but people, people stick around for a couple of hours there. Then they'll, they're not serving beer or anything there. So,
Yes,
so people, all right. Let's see. Okay, and I shouldn't have spoiled Cam's, what do you call it? Stolen thunder.
Oh.
Stolen Cam's thunder. We're talking about Lick Run Park already, but we'll let Cam talk more about that. Okay, no more questions? Then let's go through. We'll do some introductions. And oh, I'm going the wrong way. Oops, there you go. Okay, so again, here's your introduction prompt. Say your name and a sentence on what you or your group are working toward. And since we're pretty small, let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back to more specifics after that. Yeah. Okay, Jane, do you want to start us off? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I lost the screen for a minute. I don't know where it went. Anyways, I'm Jane Gabrielle, and I am working on Northwest presence in the Daisy Art Parade. I've got at least 2 crews and an idea for another.
Excellent. All right, John Cornthwaite.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Cornthwaite with the Arts Commission, and I support through a placemaking capacity with all of you fabulous people. So happy to hear and contribute tonight.
Great. Thanks, John. Phoenix.
Hello, I'm Phoenix Kesey. And I am a resident at Lansdowne in Northwest, and also I am the assistant to the resident artist, Simone, at the Dreamin' Big art program. And currently I'm working, it's through the Envision Center, and I'm working with the Envision Center. And they've got a lot of things planned for the spring and summer. And hopefully what we'll see is a lot of the resources coming together, and hopefully we'll be able to build the neighborhood up a little bit more and bring people to the table from Lansdowne itself to be able to contribute as we build a network of art and make beautiful things.
Excellent. Thanks, Phoenix. Polly.
Hello, I'm on my phone, so I'm not sure if I'm here, but somewhere.
Well, you
No,
know, I think you flipped. There you go. There you go.
You see me? Okay. Hey, so I have worked with the Envision Center when it was opening up with Community Arts Reach, and Hope Center on outdoor paintings and indoor classes and block parties, and have been more recently working in Gainsborough, trying to encourage people to learn about the city report on development in the target areas, and most recently the encouraging people to see the David Ramey exhibit and prepare do the preparation with Doug for enlargements for a mural on the Gainsborough garage, and got lots of other ideas. So.
Thanks, Polly. James.
Hey, let's see. Do I have video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, how y'all doing? I don't know how crazy I look, but I'm on my phone as well. But hi, everybody. My name is James Divers. I am an artist, a photographer from Roanoke, Virginia. And I have been a participant in the Arts Matters grant, as well as the other one that's slipping my name right now. But the last 2 years, I've put art in through one of the Roanoke Arts Commission's programs.
Thanks, James. Antonio.
I think he said he wasn't able to speak at this point. He's got some things going on. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't tracked the chat. I didn't see it. Yeah, thank you. Cam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cam Terry. I lead the vegetable operation at Lick Run Farm on 10th Street. And what am I working towards? I'm working towards a big old Easter party. We're throwing the second annual Lick Run Farm Spring Social on March the 30th.
Excellent. It was last night, somebody said, you've got to send out word about the Lick Run Spring event. And I went looking for it today. And so we've got it on the list, ready to advertise in the newsletter as soon as we get something on it.
Yeah, we just finished a flyer today and put up ticket links and everything. Look for everything to come to your email this weekend.
Oh, great. That's perfect. So it'll be in Monday's newsletter, because I learned last night that Corey stays up all night on Sunday night doing the newsletter, unfortunately.
Sort of like you.
Yeah. Okay, terrific. So we did one quick round. And yeah, oh yeah, we'll come through. And then now let's pop into the room and we'll start with Robin.
Hello, I'm Robin Mitchell. I'm an artist in residence, and I'm also helping out with some art engagement activities over at Melrose Plaza. And I'm just passionate about Northwest, so wherever I can help connect dots and lend a hand, that's what I'm here for.
Yep, so my name is Katrina Leggins. I am a mural artist in residence. I partner with Jonathan Morrell on some projects. Currently, we're trying to get prepared for the Greenway mural, so looking forward to that. Robin and I, we partner on some projects together. We just did Roanoke College, paint party with Roanoke College. And I haven't committed to it yet, but I might have a mural in the Roanoke Library, so I'm looking forward to that.
Which library, which branch?
The main library.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, fantastic. Wow.
Excellent.
I'm JC Stallings. I'm teaching art at the middle school at Lucy Addison. I got a crew of amazing young people. We did the Daisy Art Parade last year, so we're looking forward to our second annual. And I'm also really excited to learn more about assisting a mural project at the YMCA, hopefully, and be kind of a liaison in the neighborhood between Lucy Addison District and that. So I'm really excited about getting to assist and get into some mural projects. So
Love that.
one of the main things.
And I'm Helen Dean, and I am a member of the Arts Commission. And I am just enjoying supporting the artists and what they're doing, and especially getting our young people involved. So that's my story.
Tiny part. Hello, I'm Donna Davis, and my thing right now is Melrose Plaza. Can you see my little toy? I bring props everywhere I go. So Melrose Plaza is going to be celebrating the culture and empowering the community in Northwest Roanoke. And we're incorporating the arts, we're incorporating resources that are necessary and needed in that community. And if you can't tell, I'm passionate about it, and I can't wait to see this come to fruition. And all of the arts that's going to be included is just going to be a vibrant destination point for everybody in the city. I'm just happy to incorporate it and connect everyone to come to that plaza. That's good.
I'm Nick Montgomery. I run a small sound studio or recording studio and sound design studio called the Vermont Language Lab. And I'm also a librarian at the Melrose Library. And the thing we're doing right now is trying to do oral histories with residents of the Melrose area to track changes between sort of this, as the big plaza comes in, and some of the stories that we've got there among different kinds of residents. So that's an ongoing project we're trying to work on, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, this next part, let's go deeper into some projects. Does that sound like fun?
Sure.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is first start kind of high level. you know, one thing that, you know, and I think Robin and I were talking the other day about how, you know, you say Northwest and it's a lot of different neighborhoods that make up Northwest. And so it masks a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until, honestly, I didn't really realize it until we started doing some research for things with Melrose Plaza.
Exactly.
And just looking at, I mean, we have this quadrant that probably has about 16 to 20 different neighborhood centers, like not neighborhood centers, but known neighborhoods. So it's huge.
Yeah.
It is.
So even saying Northwest, you know, you feel like you're hiding a lot within that. I mean, you know, all the good detail. But at the same time, maybe that's a good way to kind of start thinking about this too. Project wise, we probably have projects that will impact all three of those nodes that we saw on the we talked about Melrose Plaza, 11th Street and Gainsborough. They're probably projects that or things that we can do that are going to support each one of those. There might be things then that are specific to Melrose Plaza. For instance, Nick just mentioned the project.
For oral histories, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Something, yeah, I mean, and insofar as we're in big picture, like, the hope for that is actually the creation of a kind of like sonic archive for lots of projects that we might have in the Melrose area or in the Roanoke area, hopefully partnering with people at Gainsborough and in the Virginia room with that, so that we can start like actually archiving some things from the community in that way, both from the past and now. Right now, we don't really have a great sonic archive, certainly not for locals or anything like that, but we've got a lot of people that want to do sonic stuff. I mean, we've got, I run both of the studios that we have, the sound studios that we have at both Melrose and at Raleigh Court. And like, I've got kids in there rapping every other day. I've got all kinds of people who are doing different kinds of projects, and it'd be incredible to actually archive them instead of having to delete them so often because we don't really have space on the computer, or because they don't have a computer to take their projects home to, and because of the weird things that happen with sonics and copyright and how that works with public spaces and other things like that as well. But yeah, so that's the hope. But yeah, we're starting with just the stories of people and what they've got going on. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, since you've started, are there, and you applied for an artist action grant?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For that, or is there any more detail on that project you want to?
Well, so I'd say now we're in a transition point. So basically this started because we're doing Black History Month. And it was a way to sort of pump the sound studios. I'm trying to do different kinds of projects and programs that relate to that every month. And so we were like, let's do oral histories. And we got a really good response. It's been hard to schedule people. And this is just a common problem with lots of things. We're asking people to share a piece of themselves. We're asking them to also give up a piece of their time to do that. And if we make a project out of it, so the hope for this is also that we would create about, depending on how many we would get, about 15 to 20 minute kind of podcast-esque or YouTube-esque thing. I've got Victoria Cobbs, you guys might know her, Jenny Quinn, to do the photography for our participants for that was a part of the action grant. So we could create something that would be available either through both Apple iTunes and on YouTube or anything like that. We do a listening party with folks. But you got to get people in the studio to do it, and you've got to get good sounding stuff to do that. And so a very common thing that you've got to be able to offer is a kind of honorarium. For legal reasons, it's a really good idea for an exchange of money to happen, but so that we actually own the sound rights to what they've given and what they recorded there, and that's all like fair and good. So that's one thing that we really want to work on. Right now, I've got the studio open. I've got like a flyer and blurbs, and we want to like bring people in. But there's another kind of engagement where we'd like to go for an advertising kind of thing and actually think about who are the stories that we're going to tell, who's got them, and we'd like to kind of get out into the community and get them into the studio and with some of the better equipment that I've got, and be able to pay them for their time while they sit down and tell their story. I had someone come in for last Thursday, and sadly I had food poisoning and missed out a little bit on this, but she was a writer, and she was 79 years old. Her name was Carol, and she brought a whole thing about her life story up until she was about 15 years old, living to the Melrose Plaza. So I really enjoyed reading that. but now we're in a situation where I'm trying to get this much older woman back out to us. I missed her. I had food poisoning and I couldn't get into the studio. And so, yeah, it's like a contact thing, and we try to do that. So that's just a very common thing when you want to work with a lot of people, or you want to capture something as big as Who Changes at Millrose or something like that. So that's really one way I'd like to direct money for some of those things in the project, is to put that in the hands of the people who are sharing their stories.
Incentives.
Yeah, incentives to get them out and to do that, and because that changes it really does change everything. So even when I do, people who grant their time for me when I do podcast interviews and things like that, they always get a pack of candy in the mail and something else. Incentives really help and make them feel like they're appreciated and their time has been, valued.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
That's a project, I think, that Robin and I are really making faces at each other because.
So we're like, well, he's right next door. We might
Yeah,
as well
Yeah,
go
come on,
library.
yeah.
Because
anytime.
we
I'll
are
be
already
there for
planning,
tomorrow.
we're planning a legacy walk
Yeah.
at Melrose Plaza with people from the community who have stories and, we want to keep it a living process. So partnering with you with the stories that you're getting, we can add to and have it not be static. It can be on the screen and playing along,
There's a lot of things like that. I encourage you all to come Saturday to the Arts Pop workshop. I'm gonna do one of the Arts Pop things. We're gonna talk about stories and sounds and talk about how we sort of combine those things to enhance our stories and do things like that. So and one of the things I'm gonna do, and as you talk about the walk and doing things like that, I hope I'm gonna be there in enough time so that I can walk around with some of my gear and record what's going on with other artists, and then we can incorporate that into my little workshop too. And we can play with those sounds.
awesome.
And that's a big part of what we can do is if we're walking and telling stories, like I can be there with binaural equipment and equipment to be able to capture that live in the moment, not necessarily in a studio setting.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you
And Juneteenth, that would be
Yeah,
so awesome.
and I don't know if you remember that, I think I submitted for the neighborhood catalog, but Our Voice is Our Story. It's kind of like a storytelling thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of just speaks to
It's-
that.
it's
So
right in
I
there.
mean, however I can support that, because that's something that we've been wanting to do.
And back at everybody, my favorite thing, as much as I love sound design and doing that kind of stuff, I also just love recording solutions and figuring out how to put what other people are doing onto the record and for something cool for them to do.
Yeah.
So any of these projects that are going on, if someone's like, what'd be great is if we had this in an MP3, give me a buzz. Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. It's great stuff. Yeah.
Cool. And then, when the panel was reviewing them, they also, I'm gonna pull it over to James, if James wants to talk a little bit about his project, because just the same way you saw connections just there, the review panel saw connections with across projects. James, you wanna talk about your project?
Sure. Like I said, I am an artist. I'm actually live in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I'm highly involved in Northwest neighborhood, born and raised in Roanoke. I'm home multiple times a month, and I'll be in this weekend actually. But my idea was to really engage with the community, and all of kind of what you guys have spoke about is even kind of lining up, and I'm sure this is part of the plan as well. I really wanted to engage some of the older people in the community, and I wanted to capture their stories visually. And then, integrating it into a mural kind of, or a larger format space where we could present multiple faces, multiple voices, from these neighborhoods, maybe talking about some of the things that they've seen change over the years, some of the things they hope that will happen in the neighborhood once they're gone, some of the things that foundationally was built into them when they, first kind of got pride into those neighborhoods, just to kind of create a counter narrative to some of the negative aspects that we sometimes hear about some of these areas, such as the Northwest community. As like I said, I'm a resident, even if I don't live there still. I have connections with many elders to youth, in that area. So I really wanted to kind of highlight these stories, put them in a big space, so that people don't live in the Northwest neighborhood, or, maybe they're not even from Roanoke, they're just in town and they drive down the street and they see this huge, artwork that presents somebody that lives in an actual neighborhood that they know nothing about the neighborhood other than, hey, I'm just here for a couple hours. I'm just driving through. I'm getting from here to there. And really kind of engaging people outside of the community to participate inside of the community, because I think that's important as well. We do need the community to be involved in it, of course, but you also need outside people to find some reason to be engaged with those communities as well. So I wanted to bring something that, like I said, engages the community together, captures those stories. And I also work within the augmented reality space. So really the idea was to have murals with QR codes where, you know, they're a mural, but then you go, let's say, for instance, to go along with, and I apologize, I forgot your name, but the sound design, the guy that just spoke before me. Say for instance, we have Nick. I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah, you're good.
So say we have a large mural of somebody in the community. I'll just say Robin, just because she's my friend and she'll be cool with it. We got a big mural of Robin up, and she's telling a story of maybe something that she remembered from Northwest when she was a child that made her have pride in the neighborhood or something. You know, if somebody's driving down the street, they see a picture of Robin and they say, hey, she looks unique. Hey, you know, I never seen her before. Let me scan this, you know, QR code. And when they scan that QR code, they're not just getting that picture of Robin, they're getting audio, they may be getting video, there may be art, you know, even with, you know, Robin is an artist, maybe some of her artwork shows up, you know, that says, hey, these are some people from our neighborhood. So I really want to kind of integrate two different worlds in lots of aspects, people within the community with people outside of the community, a little bit of old school technology, analog stuff, so to speak, with a little bit more modern AR, digital kind of mindset. And, you know, the potential for this could be, you know, we could make this as small as we wanted to. This could be something that could be in multiple spaces. And then lastly, I'll just leave you with this, some inspiration. There's a national, well, I won't say that. He's a world-renowned artist named JR. He goes all over the country and does all over the world and does different projects where he, you know, he may highlight a child that, like, there's one where he's in this border town in Texas where he prints this humongous mural of a child. Just looks like the child's looking over the border. And it's literally a child that lives at this house at the top, you know, on Mexico side, but he can see the border, but he's like 1 or 2 years old. He has no idea what that border really means to him. But it just kind of brings, you know, I'll just say, look at that. Look at the artist JR if you haven't heard of him before. He's from France. He does a lot of these projects all over where he really just takes a simple human portrait and just the impact of seeing human portraits together, telling those stories, and just that impact from that. So that's something that I would inspire to like to do to Roanoke, to just, you know, maybe it's not just Northwest eventually, but maybe it's something that can exist in multiple neighborhoods, but it has the potential to scope out to that space, or it can be as small as we need it to be. So that's kind of what I've been presenting at this point. That's what I'm interested in kind of proceeding with. You know, which aligns with a lot of the different mural programs you got going on, et cetera. So that's what my project is in a couple minutes or so.
Excellent. Thanks, James.
It's really
I
inspiring.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my brain was going bing, bing, bing,
Yeah.
bing. All these
That's what-
ideas, my goodness.
Yeah. Any specific thoughts that are coming to you?
A lot. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the different ways we're trying to highlight people who, you know, I call them unsung heroes. You can call them just people in the community who have always uplifted people,
Right.
but they don't get the picture's not in the paper. They don't have a story about it in the Tribune, you know,
Yes.
but they've done things for everybody in the community, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those stories, and you don't know the backstory. There's so many people, you don't know their backstory.
Right.
I know in my mother's generation, they just kind of told me, just don't ask so many questions.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, you know, but they would not tell me, and I feel like now we have the opportunity to, you know, to capture those
Mhm.
stories.
That's a great idea.
And we should do it while they're alive and we can get
Yes,
those
I agree.
stories, you know? And to have photographs to go with, I was thinking, when he was talking about the old school and the new school,
Yeah.
I thought about, like doing the portraits maybe in a kind of old school way, sepia or black and white.
Actually, there's something called Tintype that you all may be interested in checking out. It's basically the photography that was used heavily during the Civil War period. It's literally printing on a piece of tin. Yeah, and that process makes that piece of tin with that portrait can last, thousands of years before they even show any kind of sign of wear. So even that permanence of taking something, with an older technology in a modern time, and then applying that, AR again, we're at the point now where we can take, a piece of film or anything that traditionally couldn't be digital, and we can make it digital now. So, that's not even an issue technology wise.
Yeah, marrying that old with the new technology, I mean, it appeals across the board, it's a broad spectrum. And it tells the story that will be there forever, captured in time. I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
And just
Thanks, James Divers.
And just
Hey, I got you, Donna.
And just before the meeting started, Helen mentioned the Danville project of people's faces on the buses. Which that came to mind when he was describing that.
Yeah,
that
and I
project.
would like to see that done in Roanoke, because those were current people, and I think it comes off the end of this month, which we are at the end of the month, but it was really great, and I knew one of the ladies.
Nice.
And, it's interesting that she's getting an added girl while she's living.
Yeah, sort of like our rider by bus.
Right.
His picture and his art was, on the buses, and I think that was so cool. We need more of that.
Right.
Less vibe, less vibe 106.1, whatever, and more art on the bus.
Well, what was so cool was, I think, your students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Students.
Yeah, that's, and so, that's what we're talking about is, I'll tell a story about this, and this will explain it. So, a coworker of mine who was supporting a student in the classroom, we became friends over the semester, and she said, I really want to get back into my art. I was like, me too, let's go. Like, that's what we're here for. Why don't you get a sketchbook and join it? Well, over the years, I've been saying, hey, you gotta get involved with this amazing community that's all around us. Let's do this together. So after a year, I'm still talking with her, and she's still excited to know. She wanted to know tell me how the meeting goes tonight. When you get back, like, tell me how it goes. I want to know how I can get involved, because before I was like, maybe I'm just gonna let my art go. But now she's like, maybe there is a place for me, maybe there is a spot where I can be involved. And so that's the powerful stuff that I feel like we're talking, and the shift from like the older kind of mentality of like, okay, here's a display of art, in a museum or on a wall, to like, okay, we're redefining what it means to build empathy and community through creative people. Not such that, it's a renaissance in the sense of now artists and tradespeople have a profession, a career to be able to, give themselves to. But it's also about seeing how we can communicate in these larger ways. And yeah, it's super inspiring. I'm moved, I'm with you.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
Listen, I'll call you up.
Talking
about that.
We're just talking about
And at the cutting edge of public art, we have to understand too, like what people are doing on this larger level is accessible,
That's the point.
So,
like,
interactive.
That's exactly right.
It's fun.
Right.
And
inclusive. And that's one of the things that I talk about when I do my little presentation about Melrose Plaza. It's always been about, it's a food desert. It's a cultural desert. It's a cultural desert as well. And that is why we need to infiltrate that whole area with culture.
Mhm.
Cause there's so many culturally excellent people in the community,
Mhm.
but they're like, where can I do this? What can, what do I have to offer? Where can I offer it?
Right.
And so now we're giving them that platform, and that's what's so exciting. It's gonna, you said renaissance, and that's exactly what it's gonna be.
It's a renaissance.
It's a renaissance, I feel it. My neck has got tingles.
But when you think about all the barriers, especially when it comes to our young people, the barriers for them getting information in today's society,
Yeah.
they're teaching to a test, or they have to stick to this curriculum.
Yes.
They can't tell this story.
No
But if
field
they can
trips.
get those stories outside of the classroom and be able to access them in their neighborhood, where they engage on a regular basis, whether they're at Youth HQ or Eureka Park or at, Community Arts Reach Center, wherever they are in the community, they can have access to this history, or even the emergent history, not necessarily the past, all
No,
the past,
all of it.
but things that are happening now and can be inspired by that. I think that's beautiful.
And you mentioned a great part about being in that close, having the artwork within your community. If I need to find out who's somebody in my neighborhood I never knew, and I walk down the street and I see this mural of Robin's there, and Robin's doing great things, but I never knew she existed. But she lives in my neighborhood now. So now I've got somebody I might see out in public and say, hey, let me go speak to her. Hey, I'm an artist. Hey, I'm interested in Delta Sigma Theta. Hey, I'm interested in college. I'm interested in all the things that Robin does. Now they know she exists in her neighborhood. They have a pillar or somebody they can go to and get that information, that inspiration or whatnot. So, yeah.
Can I just say, so one of the ideas that I think and fits in with a lot of this, so the QR codes on murals and things like that lead to sound bites. Obviously, I might be a little biased about that, but I really truly love cross modality art, and so like even up in the Taubman, one of my favorite things is looking at the cell phone to different things. So, but one way that helps build communities, of course, we can always interview the mural artist and be like, what were you thinking about when you did this mural? But you can also interview the people from the community. And that can be what the QR code leads to, is like, what was it like when you passed by this, 5 months ago? And what is it like now?
Or even having a way to capture a story on a mural.
There can be all kinds of stories that,
Scan the QR code and maybe record something.
it can change even every few months or something like that. But that talk about community engagement. Now we've got community commenting. Now all of a sudden we took people who also, I'm really into that because of accessibility issues. There are lots of people who, as beautiful as murals are, can't enjoy murals because of circumstance, but they can scan QR codes. They can hear people talk about it, and they can hear what that is, and that's a big thing. Yeah.
And that was another, unfortunately, the policy, the city, when it was written, they defined public art as visual.
Yeah.
And we went back and changed that this year.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering when we did the art walk one year, I took my camera down and did interviews with people. And it was like it was like Festival of the Park, right? So it was like this whole wide range of people.
Yeah.
And everybody we interviewed about a piece of art on the art walk was eloquent.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like poetry.
Yeah.
And you would not have expected everybody to be so thoughtful on it. If you weren't, if you're just making assumptions, like when they came down to see the Journey cover band, they don't care about the but it was amazing. I still have that clip somewhere. It was terrific. So I think that's
it's a great idea. People become like endorphins make people eloquent, when people get excited about stuff and they're doing that kind of thing, especially, they love that.
We talked a little bit about Melrose Plaza. Let's go to the other nodes too. And Polly, you've worked both on 11th Street a lot and in Gainsborough. Do you have any reflections on kind of what the conversation so far?
I love it. These are the conversations that drive, our future and our children's futures. And so yeah, I'm thrilled to see so many people involved. And my interest was the next steps, I guess, towards the future, in particular, neighborhoods. I've been in Gainsborough, and a lot of the times the conversations are around a specific pot of money that's come about, and it kind of, when it's focused in that way, the conversations tend to have a little bit of a limitation in their dreaming and visioning. And so that's what I'm about. How do we communicate? How do we share information and make decisions that are not, limited to a particular way of thinking? And so yeah, I just see so many connections. It's hard to know where to begin right now. A lot of my interest in Roanoke was inspired by the community gardens, and in the last 20 years, it's led up to the Harvest Collective and the Lake Run Development Center, and the examples that they've been sharing with Roanoke, and the new Envision Center, the new Melrose Plaza. It's wonderful how the evolution is moving, and what this art project is doing is encouraging individuals to be a part of the process, so that we don't have to see the power over structures in municipalities limiting our vision of the future. So yeah, so my project was about finding folks around the Gainsborough area who really wanted to look into the details of history, the projects that have been attempted, like buying the Dumas, the properties that are available, how to create a team to manifest some of the visions. So it's it's a big deal. But along the way, there are the art projects that could be done to help stimulate more of that visioning, whether it be painting boarded up buildings, enhancing green areas that need beautification, just finding that power of ownership in the neighborhood, and those ideas could be then expanded to other neighborhoods who don't have associations. So I'm also hoping that we'll find other people that will go into apartment complexes and do what Phoenix is starting to do, to help find people who want to create their own neighborhood councils and practice making some of those decisions as to how to make their homes, their neighborhood, their apartment complexes more family oriented and joyful. So I'm kind of all over the place here.
No, that's terrific. I want to hit on two things you said. One, I think we've got 3 Arts Connect neighbors requests from one's a senior housing complex, and then a couple already from housing authority sites, which I think is terrific.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then the other thing, Polly, that you hit on, and I think it's so important. Part of this project, the big picture project, has been to create structures to say yes.
Mhm.
Because government works, the default is to say no, and here are the reasons why.
Mhm.
So if we have structures where we can say yes, and I think we've got a lot of them now, it's just a matter of being able to match the path. And I'm afraid right now that I'm going to become a bottleneck in a way because of just limited time. But if you all understand what the paths are, it's going to be even more helpful. But I had a boss who one time said, I have never seen a good project go unfunded.
Mm.
If it's a good project, we'll find the resources to make it happen. If it's being led by the neighborhood, even if we don't think it's going to be the best project, if the neighborhood's leading it, we can take some risk. We can still fund it and take some risk, kind of hopefully coach them as they go. But not everything has to be successful as a product. We can learn lessons along the way as well.
You get good at anything, you know what I'm saying? Even if it doesn't turn out the way they think it should turn out, there will be some good that comes from it.
Yeah, oh, and then Phoenix, I wanted to come back to you, you had your hand up, but now it's not up. So maybe-
Yeah, I would like to jump in there and say something. I didn't really know like what was going on. But oh, hold on, let me turn my video on. Yeah, so I just really am grateful to be at this meeting, first of all, and I love everything that I'm hearing. Some of the projects that I've heard have been inspirational, and also want to applaud Lick Run and Cam for the work that's happening there. That's awesome. And again, not stealing the thunder, won't say anything more. But I'm thinking as I'm hearing the things about what it means to create legacy, because that's what I'm hearing in this conversation is how do we change the legacy of Northwest? And I think that's important, especially for the social economy. And that's what we lack really is we lack a valuing of some of these neighborhoods, especially in Northwest. And I'm thinking particularly in zeroing in on Lansdowne. And I'm thinking about how we honor those who have fallen and those we have lost, because that's an important part of working with the land and working with the people. And I'm thinking back to a Transgender Day of Remembrance that I did and combining that thought with the oral histories. And for the Transgender Day of Remembrance, rather than focusing on the grief and the loss and the death and the terror of what happened to the individuals in a senseless act of loss, I focused on who they were when they were alive and focused on their story, right? Because a person's legacy is their story. What did they do? What did they go to school for? Some of them own businesses. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be neat to capture oral histories and stories of those that we have lost to gun violence, no matter where they may fall on that spectrum, because a life is a life. And just thinking about maybe giving voice and giving space to some of the families to be able to memorialize their loved ones in a beautiful sort of way that can give back to the community and give back to them at the same time. And I love what people are doing with the elders. And I thought, what if we took that in a different direction to add to that, to maybe capture some of the stories, especially of our youth and the beautiful, brilliant lives that they were able to leave behind for their loved ones. So that was just a thought that I had. It's not something that I could necessarily take on, but it was just.
Well, this is a great idea.
It is.
And
It's beautiful.
Reminds me of
Yeah.
James project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Phoenix. And there is a structure in place for that. And Jane, you want to talk a little bit about the Empathy Project?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking that this would be a really nice, Empathy Project 2.0. What was she speaking about with the oral histories? Because we did one, Brian Hancock and I did one where he wrote a poem about someone lost to gun violence, and I did a door-sized mural of the person, and we met with 3 different families and talked to the families and got to know the person. And the whole idea was to move those around in community so they learn the stories of these people that we've lost senselessly and expand our empathy as a city.
That is so
beautiful. Yeah, and really powerful. And we've got to get those moving around some now too with that pull-up banner. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, can I jump in for a second? This is Polly again.
Yeah.
There was a friend in Roanoke, David Burnett, who proposed I haven't gotten him in on this process yet. I keep sending him things, but he wanted to do a sculpture of sort of like cut out stainless steel hands, arms that are reaching up with the names of people who have passed through, been killed by gun violence. And anyway, I just wanted to share that many people are thinking in new ways and wanting to participate. And so I'm going to keep encouraging him.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I like the way Jane said Empathy Project 2.0. Like there are ways that initiative can evolve, and I know there's interest in continuing that. Yeah. Okay. It is 8:10. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. This is the kind of conversation I'd like us to keep having in ways.
Yeah.
And Robin, you've got some thoughts. I've been picking Robin's brain a little bit about on getting us organized and connecting across projects and such.
So I gave Doug a idea, but then after I gave him the idea, he gave me a little insight to my idea. So I would say it may be better to poll the group and see how do you best stay connected versus me proposing an idea. So I get lost in email threads and sometimes text message threads, but something that can keep me organized is like a group me or something where you can share files.
Yeah.
And I proposed to Doug the idea of something like Slack, or we're not gonna do Teams. We're not doing Teams, but if has anyone ever used Slack before?
Yeah.
Slack lets you share files and
Never heard of it.
it's a good for file sharing. It's good for separating things into like channels, and you could say, okay, we got this channel and it's kind of dedicated to the Northwest experience. We got this channel and it's kind of dedicated to Gainsborough and, 11th Street. Then we have this channel that's dedicated to some of the things that we're doing at Melrose Plaza. This one is for murals. And so that was what I kind of proposed to Doug, is maybe using a tool like Slack. And I do think if we were to go with something like that, we probably have to have some kind of training around it.
Why you looking at me?
It's a safe place to look.
Project management software is such a good idea though, especially when you've got this many different things going on. And I mean, it's how many grants have the name neighborhood in it? I mean, all of us are gonna go home and be
Oh, I
like,
know.
what were you talking about? And so it's really nice to have like a dedicated thing for that. One thing I'll recommend on that point, so Slack is very, very well known. It's a great system. It might be more complicated than what we need, but Zoho, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Zoho suite. So Zoho has a really good project management thing as well. That's exactly like Slack, but way, way cheaper and free for other people to get involved and do that. So, but really good file sharing and big kind of stuff. So I would recommend it. It's a super great idea for groups like the working groups like this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rob and I can put some thinking into that too, and kind of mock something up. Might be a test, because if I can manage it, then it might be manageable.
Totally.
But let me get some observations and thoughts. Where do you think we can head from here?
My thought was that we were gonna be getting us together to be something on the same vein as like the iHeart Southeast group. My idea was that this group and this initiative would bring pride and to the Northwest community, give them something to look and tangibly see, and have it all over the place, plastered all over. I want bumper stickers and murals and T-shirts and sculptures and saying, I don't want to say I heart Northwest, but I was thinking Northwest pride or something. We need to come up with something very easy to graphically represent. That's what I was thinking. I want a T-shirt that says that.
And I think that was kind of what Jane was headed with the Northwest experience.
Jane, you want to talk a second about that?
It's the same thing. Yeah, I live in Northwest. I would love to have something that identifies that. T-shirts, hats, a big mural on the side of the firehouse that says, "Welcome to the Northwest Experience." Something like that. Like a window cling. You know how people have those OBX clings in the back window?
Yeah.
Something like that. I was thinking like NWX, or it doesn't have to be that, but that was my thought.
NWX, is that what you were saying?
Northwest experience.
I like
want
that.
to instead of OBX. Out of my.
I was
Yes,
gonna
I
say
think-
NWA, but different speed. Sorry.
But I think it goes back to, I can't speak for the residents of Southeast, but I think that things like that instill a sense of pride.
That's-
And I know even looking at I Heart Southeast, I know mentally, my mind doesn't connotate what it used to 10 years ago about Southeast. I used to be scared to go to
Oh,
Southeast.
yeah, we didn't do that.
And I'll
When I
be
was young.
honest with you, I was scared, and we lived in Benton, and we would take Northeast to get to Benton, like, we didn't really go through Southeast to get to Benton. So, it's just, it's something about how that movement of I Heart Southeast has changed the connotation in people's minds and given them a new perspective of what Southeast is, and giving it a new energy, and, there is so welcoming there now. They have major projects that are happening there now. They have a lot of great things that are happening in Southeast, and I just wish that we could instill that same sense of neighborhood pride into Northwest through some sort of movement like this. Some sort of movement based on what you said, what Jane has said, what so many others have said, what James mentioned. I just think that there's a way that we can create that synergy and be the change that we want to see in our community.
Yeah, and I think it would be cool, not, if at all possible, to even have that information at the Juneteenth celebration, because that's where we have a whole lot of folks show up. And to just plant those seeds, have something out there, a button, a sticker, something.
And maybe the outside love will eventually trickle in, but we need to instill it within the community itself
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
And then, if the buy-in comes from outside, then great, we love it,
Just
thank you.
People
Thank you
come
for
there
supporting Northwest.
and
but-
then spread it out.
And
Yeah.
every
Also-
project you do contributes to that.
Yes.
It's a hook and everything can hang on that,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking about the bus shelters too, the
Yeah.
faces that were on the bus shelters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that
It
was
made a
cool, but
difference.
if you look at the bus shelter and look at the faces, you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, there are people there that I should know.
Well, a lot of them are just everyday people.
They are, so they're not all just, well, there were people there who was, who actually represented on some of the bus shelters, and I just think it would be cool if you knew who they were.
Like have a little placard or something.
Yeah.
One of the things I was gonna say, and this is something coming actually from my neighborhood here in Lansdowne, is more food, lots of food and activities for the kids. I would love for us to do what we're talking about with the Northwest Experience and get some swag. And then it would be great if we could do something like I'm thinking about. I'd love to see something in Lansdowne where we do a big cookout and put some money towards something like that to bring people in, because if you've got free food, you've got like face painting for the kids, you've got little activities. Yeah, people would love to come to stuff like that. We've got a huge green space here at Lansdowne to be able to do something like that. We also have tons of green space within the neighborhood itself that we'd love to see some artists work with RHA on how do we change some of the codes in RHA to be able to allow some more artistic expression, as well as maybe some use of the green spaces and the ability to use the yards in ways that may encourage the neighborhood. But those are just things that are coming from what I'm hearing from the neighborhood and from the neighbors. But I think the first step is definitely like a big cookout, and it'd be great for it to have more than one, culture within it. Like we could have drumming, for example, or something like that, to try to draw in and encourage other people to bring their culture as well.
And Phoenix, what's the date of the next cookout?
April 6th.
We don't have one yet, but Envision Center is talking about doing one in March. We have a mural coming up mid-March, or what is it, mid-March, I believe, but we're doing a big old mural, and we're hoping to coordinate some of these events also with some cookouts and some actual activities, and have Envision Centers coming together, bringing it all together. So but I'd love for us to see this in multiple areas, and start to have a bag and maybe some food and just some socialization.
And have cookouts in different areas, get the word out.
Remember, I was saying the other day how one of my favorite memories from my college years was coming home to summer block parties.
Yeah, we used to have block
And
parties.
I don't see them as much as I used to, but My family used to do a block party on the corner of Carroll and 19th Street almost every year for a while. But I don't see it as frequent as it used to be, and they would have food and DJs and, you know,
Every
dance.
house had their own little
Mhm.
thing that they
Yeah.
did or whatever.
So just bringing that kind of energy back into the neighborhoods would be.
Cause people don't, I mean, like, I've been living on my block for 5 years, and I don't even know who lives next door to me,
Mhm.
or who lives across the street. I know one person. Cause if you approach them, it's like, ugh, you know?
I keep meeting people who live like within a block from me, and I'm embarrassed.
But I mean, it used to be that, I mean, I knew everybody within a 5 block square area when I grew up. I knew everybody in every house. And now it's just not that way.
Yeah, well, and,
Polly has her hand up.
They don't have that world view anymore.
yeah. But, and Polly, I'm gonna come to you in 1 second, as we're starting to wrap up. One thing that I think we would need would be, okay, what, a calendar. What are all the things,
Absolutely.
the opportunities to
Yeah.
connect?
So why not?
Type down
build
some
this
dates,
movement.
but yeah.
So that might be something we can do electronically through, maybe that'd be the first thing we try to use.
Collab with Corey to see if we can maybe put it in a,
Oh,
he
yeah.
could show me how to do it in a newsletter format or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that could be cool to have it kind of laid out like that.
Monthly calendars.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, I just put together like 10 events I got coming up, you know,
we could,
for the next 6 months.
you know
or
what,
so.
even seeing all the great things that are happening, and maybe that, that's part of that, the gun violence prevention effort too. And so mining that might be good, and tapping into that.
And it's a Northwest experience. All of this is happening in Northwest.
Let me just say that that's a good reason to still consider the Slack kind of option too, because you do both. And then it's a user space, so like anyone can, if you put in your project on the Slack, and you can talk about at what development stage it's at and that kind of thing, you also go ahead and put it on the calendar automatically. And so you can anyone can go through and look at a calendar and be like, oh, people's projects are happening now. But one of the things that you miss on a calendar, right? And this is something we run into a lot, is it's like, oh, well, it's over now, right? Because like, you're gonna be doing that next week. Like, nah, like we're still recording. Like you could come in right next week and like look on the Slack and see that we're still in that phase of the project. So it's a good thought for some of the things that come as a suite like that. The Zoho thing does that, for instance, yeah. You enter it one time, you just enter it one time and then it's automatically on the calendar, no dual wielding or anything, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And then, Polly, can you hear? Oh, there you go.
Okay, on the same line of conversation of encouraging people to attend the block parties that are happening, or the Juneteenths, the 11th Street block parties, the Gainsborough block parties, and others that I'm not familiar with, but have been going to those to meet people and to get inspirations, and also recognizing that some people don't know, and therefore the calendar could be very helpful. And transportation, of course, is another aspect of how to get people to these existing activities to inspire them to take back to their communities. And then the last thing I wanted to say was regarding the Northwest Experience logo or ideas. That could be either a contest, or you could provide 3 or 4 to choose from and let people, check off or do a survey at the next upcoming events, as a way to get buy-in and participation. So those are my last thoughts.
Great, thanks, Polly. Okay, so as next steps, so Robin's gonna think through
The Slack. I mean, I kind of set up one the other night just playing around with it. So I can share the link with you, and maybe you can disseminate it to the group. But I think beyond that, the calendar, I heard the calendar, and then of course, I think we're gonna need some follow-up meetings, because honestly, we didn't get to hear from Antonio.
Yeah.
And I know that a big part of his, and I'm not speaking for him, but I'm sure that a big part of his is gonna be community healing,
Most definitely.
and wellness. So, I think, I know we definitely want to hear what he has to say, so my thought is we probably gonna need to follow up on this and do it again.
When do you wanna follow up?
I would say soon, not like next week maybe, but maybe in a couple of weeks, just because it's still fresh and
Yeah,
we need to, there's some things I think we could iron out and get ready for this upcoming this season coming up is so busy with festivals and opportunities to get this out,
Yeah.
you know, so I think we might think about, you know, the logo and what we wanna actually call it. If it's gonna be Northwest Experience, fine. How do we represent that, you know?
so, do you mind, as you're setting something up, do a little trial for us, if we could go ahead and start entering dates on calendars?
Okay.
So say there's a mural project, I know you don't have your dates yet necessarily, but there might be it could be an art thing that's happening that we can build around, it could be.
I think you may want a listening for your mural, right? Listening, trying to get some ideas.
Yeah. So if there's a way we can go ahead and all start putting dates in, Donna's got 10 dates that she's got for
I was
Melrose.
just gonna suggest maybe if we have dates, we just email them all to like you or Robin, and then, you know, we can kind of put them all together.
Yeah, let's make it part of the same experiment. Robin's going to think through what a tool might be. It might be that Slack, and then see if she can get us trained in entering it ourselves.
Okay,
We'll try that. We'll try that first. And see.
okay, it's gotta be easier than Salesforce.
It's not, I don't think it's difficult to use it all.
Okay.
You can make it difficult for yourself is what I would say. It's like you can get too deep into it, but like,
That would be.
if you know what you wanna do, it's not hard and it's great to have an artist shared space where people can, you know, it's similar to a workspace kind of thing, so you can just type in like, oh, who was that person that was talking about pictures? Then you can communicate with people and stuff like that quite easily, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, and then how do you want to advance the Northwest experience idea? Did that emerge from you, Jane?
It started there.
How far down the thinking path did you go?
I went as far as to mock up a black and white oval sticker that said NWX, and then like a hot potato, I threw it to Robin.
And now I'm just sitting here with it like
She's
this.
juggling.
Robin did.
So you want to do some more thinking around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that we were gonna, I think, me and Jane and Donna have been kind of in an email thread, and we hadn't connected until today about this particular thought. But now that we have this meeting, and it seems like there's some ways that everybody here can kind of play into this Northwest experience, or what if the name changes, I don't know if it stays the same, but it's something that plays into the Northwest experience. So I think from here, we need another meeting.
So you want to try and just do 2 weeks from tonight?
2 weeks from tonight
Is this a Tuesday?
This is a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Does this day of the week, do we need to send out a doodle, or do we need to figure out what day of the week works best for everybody, or?
Tuesdays and Wednesdays bi-weekly work pretty well for me. Those are the best days for me. But yeah.
Tuesday, we got the regular.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
Wednesday, we'll do
Wednesday's
that,
fine.
on Wednesday. Unless anyone who's online, or here objects, I think we should stick with Wednesdays.
And we can send out some brief notes and a link to the recording of the conversation to folks and let them catch up.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks, let me see what the date
Oh,
is.
Texas.
13th.
13th, yeah.
13, okay. And then Polly, do you have something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll plan on 2 weeks from tonight.
What the holiday?
And I'm just gonna go ahead and put Northwest Experience on my calendar.
for the students.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for your time tonight, and thank you for your thoughts, and we'll, I'm gonna come back to you on individual projects and get kind of timing and figure out the best path for funding these.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think the only thing we're waiting for as an artist is to tell us when we can go. We're ready to go already, so.
Well, excellent. I don't want to slow anything down.
Yeah, we got some momentum right now, so, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much. Thank you
Thanks,
very much,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for sharing your art.
Screen away, it really should be like.
I know.
This is for
All the time.
Oh, that's mine. Thank you. I need it.
Did you want this?
No,
So look,
she
I just
had
figured-
that already.
so I started working on one the other night, just cause I was.
So you're gonna have an improved art.
Oh, started the Slack app.
We're working on
Download
what
app.
the wellness center will actually.
Yeah.
So, you know, this right, so I do got showcasing and all of it done. Feedback is somebody else told me that they wanted to start. Like with their ideas, whatever general.
Right, if it was different.
Somebody getting back and see like those. Somebody getting back and connect. I just,
Yeah,
just made different things that I'm like, the upcoming event. I'm sorry.
You have to get us trained up and.
So many of the places will do that for you, the training. Like, if you, I don't know if Slack will or not, but so like Zoho, they'll, if you were to like, hey, would you train us? Like, they would do a 30-minute training with everybody and be like, this is how you do the kinds of things. If you just wanted to even do that as a student, they, much of these places will train you in, in a hands-on way, because I'm the same way, and it's like, I know too much software at this point, like, I don't have a single brain cell left for another new one, like,
That's my issue.
Yeah.
I've got 2 jobs and I've always got a password on the I'm on the wrong parts.
that's got, passwords and stuff have to change very soon, like there's been a lot of studies that it's just like cognitive load, human brains can't do this, like, what we're requiring of people, so that's gonna have to change for sure.
I'll tell you what I have gotten good at, is short-term memorization of 6 digits.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it's like the perfect number. Yeah, like whatever it is that like most people can remember. Yeah, just have that down. That's probably actually where we'll go. Yeah, like passkeys are becoming the more common thing that you can just keep across stuff, but like something will have to happen. Something will have to change soon. But yeah, many of those they'll train you, they'll teach you, because like, and I only keep those things that like actually work or help me. Like, I thought I would never use project management software, that I could keep it all in my head. I like turned 35 and I was like, no, there's things you forget. Like, this is really, really useful to remember. Yeah.
It all changes.
Yeah, t-shirts.
You had to made it
So,
go all the way across,
Kelsey,
right? You know?
she'll be like.
Layers.
Yeah, I am gonna get you one. You know you gotta have one.
Pleasure seeing you all again.
You know?
Yeah.
Take care. Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
I'm just volunteer.
I know, we can hang. And I'm excited to hear.
Please edit that.
And,